Καλημέρα σε όλους, όσοι βρίσκονται εδώ σήμερα στην αίθουσα και όσοι μας παρακολουθούν από το διαδίκτυο. Λέγομαι Αΐντε Καρά και διατηρώ την Geo Health στην Ελλάδα. Θα ήθελα να ευχαριστήσω τον κύριο Τάκη για την πρόσκληση που μας έκανε να παρευρεθούμε σήμερα εδώ στο συνέδριο. Η Geo Health είναι μια εταιρεία που εισάγει νέα ιατρικά συστήματα υγείας που έχουν την ιδιαιτερότητα να μπορούν να εντοπίσουν ένα σύμπτωμα υγείας, την αιτία του, δηλαδή από πού προέρχεται ένα σύμπτωμα υγείας και να βοηθήσει τον οργανισμό στην αυτοΐανση. Ένα από τα νέα συστήματα υγείας που θα παρουσιάσουμε σήμερα εδώ είναι το iHealth System με το πρόγραμμα BTi, που είναι ειδικά για ψυχίατρους και για ψυχολόγους. Χρησιμοποιείται ήδη από 25 χώρες από γιατρούς σε μεγάλα νοσοκομεία και κλινικές και σε ιδιωτικά γιατρεία. Το σύστημα υγείας BTi μπορεί να βοηθήσει σε παιδικά τραύματα, μπορεί να φτάσει με το πρώτο, το δεύτερο συνεδρία και στο υποσυνείδητο, δηλαδή ένας άνθρωπος που μπορεί να είναι 50 χρονών, στη πρώτη και στη δεύτερη συνεδρία μπορεί να βγάλουμε στην επιφάνεια ένα παιδικό τραύμα. Στη συνέχεια, πολύ αποτέλεσμα έχει στο τραύματα πολέμου. Πολλά παθολογικά προβλήματα υγείας που προέρχονται από ψυχολογικά αίτια μπορεί να εντοπιστούν με το iHealth System. Το iHealth System παρακολουθείται στην οθόνη του κομπιούτερ με γραφήματα, δεν μπορεί να κάνει κανείς λάθος και είναι ένα πολύ σημαντικό βοηθητικό εργαλείο για τον ψυχίατρο. Γιατί μπορεί να παρακολουθήσει σταδιακά τη βελτίωσή του στη διάρκεια του χρόνου. Σήμερα έχουμε κοντά μας τον κύριο Mauk που έχει έρθει από την Ολλανδία. Θα σας παρουσιάσει με λεπτομέρειες το τι μπορεί να σας προσφέρει το σύστημα BTi, τι μπορείτε να περιμένετε από το σύστημα αυτό σαν θεραπεία και σαν άμεσα αποτελέσματα. 2 το μηνός, 2 Ιουνίου, θα σας πούμε αργότερα, έχουμε και μια ημερίδα για όσους ενδιαφέρονται να παρακολουθήσουν μια συνεδρία του BTi με λεπτομέρειες. Και την πρώτη ημέρα, 1η Ιουνίου, θα δώσουμε και την ευκαιρία σε κάποιους ψυχολόγους και ψυχίατρους, εάν ενδιαφέρονται, να μπορούν να φέρουν έναν ασθενή στη Geo Health και από τον κύριο Mauk θα μπορεί να κάνει μια συνεδρία προκειμένου να βιώσετε τη διαδικασία της θεραπείας απάνω στον ασθενή σας. Θα δώσω το λόγο στον κύριο Mauk για να μην σας λέω κι εγώ πολλά που μπορούν να πει ο κύριος Mauk σε λεπτομέρεια. Mr. Mauk, welcome in Greece. I give the word to you. Yes?
Thank you very much. That's about the only thing I understood. But it's great to be here, and I thank you very much for the opportunity that I've been invited and can bring you the news from what we do with iHealth. I've been working on the development of the iHealth system for 15 years now. And what I have here is, in fact, a hospital. And it's an electronic hospital. And what we use is a different model for the human being. The other one from biochemic, or that we have a neuronal system, or that we have a skeleton, or that we have nerves, or that there may be pathogens that influence our body. We use a model of electromagnetism and light with which we influence the processes in our body. So we have signals with which we can help the person to relax. We have signals that can help the neurotransmitter household to balance that. We have signals to help you to focus, to become less nervous. Or when someone has a sprained ankle, we just use a specific range of signals to speed up the recovery. Just to tell you one little example, one of the football players of a major league Dutch football team had severed his Achilles sinew. So he had an operation, he got a cast around his foot, and he was ordered to be very careful and give his foot a rest. Well, that's not difficult when it is in a cast, and to come back to the hospital in a month's time. Well, he didn't wait to this month only, but he went to see an eye health therapist, and she found the right combination of signals for him, and he treated himself at home using his own laptop 2 times every day. And what he got from this lady was a small device that he hooked up to his computer, and he put it on his ankle, and it beamed through the cask to his muscles, helping them to recover. After a month, he came back to the hospital, chipped open his cask, and he walked away. So the orthopedic surgeon said, "Do that again?" Because normally it's more than 3 months recovery with exercise and getting used to movement anyway, again. And the surgeon asked, "Well, how did you manage to do that?" He said, "Well, I just treated myself every day with eye health." What's that? So now we are talking with the orthopedic surgeons of PSV, which is the second football club in the Netherlands. That's just, pardon? You can't? Okay, thank you. It's better like this? Ooh. Well, please remind me when I step away again, because I don't like to stick. My firm is called Eye Health, with the I from interactive. So I like to interact and I like to move and to do things. But anyway, that was just one example. And the other thing that's in my little box is a small device. You see, it's like a pencil. And with that, I can measure the regulative system of the body. And what you see then in a graph is the homeopathic capacity of your patient. Or the homeostatic capacity, homeostatic capacity. In other words, the healing capacity of your body divided over 24 different functions. The heart is one of them, but the lung, the immune system, the bladder, the kidney, etc. So you see, and you see where it deviates from the norm. So you see where your patient is too weak, where his regulative system is too weak to heal the body. And there are many things that prevent us from being healed again. One of us is our emotional life, are our thought patterns. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. And I'll show you briefly how we do that. So, I close the hospital for today. And I just show you one of these signals. We use light therapy as well. And what you see here is a range of different colors. And we use a variation, and we use a range of colors. They are all specific. For every problem, we have a different range, because you energize a whole chain of reactions again and again and again. And they may be for your vocal cords, or they may be for your heart, to re-oxygenate your heart, and then you get relief from the stress and you feel your world in a new way, giving your body and yourself a new opportunity to reassess its emotions. So that was just one example of one of our little tools. You see, it's very small. So, but now, we specifically developed a module to get access to the emotions and to raise the awareness of your patient and to give him the opportunity and to guide him through steps so he becomes capable to process his emotions again. And this gives great relief for traumas. So we help people from the police force, from the military, people that had very bad traumas, and with youth traumas. So originally, our program was called the Core Belief Program. But now we call it the PsyChi, the System for Transformation and Awareness. I'm doing this in several little blocks. So this is the introduction, and then I'll show you here how we do that. And then small videos here that show you how easy it is to measure. Then a statement from a soldier who was treated with PsyChi, and he came back from Afghanistan, heavily traumatized, and so on. So that's the overview. I'm afraid you can't hear it, but you were invited to sit more up front, but I'll read it for you. So our PsyChi offers a new concept for the effective release of negative core beliefs, but also for resistance against changes, or it helps with getting rid of addictions, or phobia, etc. Often it's called therapy resistance, but behind these therapy resistances, there are deeply ingrained emotions that have become your patient's realities. It's their spectacles through which they look at life. And when something happens, it is transformed through these spectacles, and they think, oh, I have to do something because people don't love me, I have to make myself lovable. Or because I'm afraid and I think always something bad may happen for me, I need to protect myself and be aggressive. So those are the action-reaction patterns that we all have. We all have our large or small traumata that pattern our reactions. But real negative core beliefs make your patients suffer, and they are so strong that the self-healing capacities of the body are being blocked. And that's so fascinating with this system. We often talk about how we make ourselves ill. And through these measurements, you really can pinpoint how these processes, how the emotions have such a negative influence, put so much stress on the body that the energies are depleted. Not of our whole body, but each emotion has its own section. Fear is bad for your bladder and your bladder meridian and your kidney. Anger just jacks up your liver and your gallbladder system. But when you do that every day, 24 hours of the day, it depletes the energy and you get problems with your gallbladder and your liver, and so on and so forth. PsyChi is easy to learn, it's very profound, it's not superficial. I'm speaking English with an American accent, but I'm not an American. I'm not in the way I do it. It's not like marketing or something. It's not something I want to just blanket over you. It really is a very profound system. And it opens the realm of the psychological traumata of your patients to be released effectively. And you get rid of a lot of talk and discussions with your patients, because what your patients see and feel is, it's not the judgment of the therapist or his opinion or his projection about me, because I winked with my left eyelid or because I have lower back pain. No, what these measurements show is about my body. And my therapist is just helping me to translate the signals from my body to me and to help my awareness. So that does away with tens of sessions. And you get right to the core. Well, in fact, it is a combination of age-old traditional healing knowledge. We use acupuncture points, but you don't need to know a lot about acupuncture because the software is showing the points where to keep this device that I showed you, or another one. And it's a combination with biophysics. It's measurable, it's exact, and, you know, we are all prone to the natural forces. And the major natural force, or force of nature, is electromagnetism. It's the fourth fundamental force of nature. And for biological organisms like we are, it's the most important one because it helps it keep things together. It's the all-permeating force that coordinates all the processes in our body. It's binding, it's keeping the thing together. So it's a combination that we can share with many because it's small, thanks to technology, and the software is very powerful but simple. Blocked emotions come to life and can be released with the aid of light therapy and pulsating electromagnetic fields. And then you integrate new realities that replace old ones, the traumata, with the help of natural and subtle energies. So we run you through a couple of basic ideas. After a traumatic event, for example, a soldier saw his colleagues being blown up by a landmine. And the peculiar thing is that they often feel guilty because it happened to them, but they escaped. So that's a distortion of reality that you often see with them. And emotional processing is traumatized. And the one person can cope with it and can process it. The other one just hides it and sits on it for years. And when they get older, they don't have the energy to suppress it. And then you have midlife crisis and things pop up. So it comes to the surface. Brain research tells us that it's the amygdala that sends and steers the emotions and opens our body up or not. It's the selection and division system that sends the signals back to our body and translates them into feelings and actions and neurotransmitters and whatnot. And that's here. When there is a trauma, the processing also in the amygdala is blocked. It's over-agitated and it just cannot cope anymore. And then our nervous system gets different signals and they're blocked, etc. That's one very complex model. We use the model of the meridians that is based on acupuncture. And the astonishing thing is that you can measure them. So you have access to emotional life. Our charts show you the physical side, but you can translate the same picture into emotional issues. So we had this amygdala, and then that sends the impulses via the afferent nerves to our body. And when I translate that into our meridian system, I'll enlarge the picture a little. So it sends impulses to our lung meridian or to the large intestinal meridian or to the stomach and spleen pancreas meridian or the heart meridian. Now let's imagine what happens with the heart meridian. It's our strongest emotion. It ought to be our healthiest muscle. There's never cancer of the heart. So that's one sign it's a very healthy muscle. But when we think we are not being loved, that's a continuous stress on our heart because we miss the warmth of other people and we want to compensate, or we long for this warmth. It's a particular kind of stress, and that prevents the large heart muscle to be repolarized in a normal way. And after many years of heartache, the heart begins and the cellular processes begin to degenerate, and we get a physical problem from that. And the heart meridian is the most flexible one, the one that reacts strongest to our emotions. And we have measured that these emotions influence the physical functions of the heart in a major way from second to second. Anyway, when you look at emotions, the heart is not being loved, not being recognized. The stomach and spleen pancreas meridian deals with issues, or is influenced by issues of self-value, self-worth. And the stomach meridian is involved with being overly critical of yourself or your fellow human being. And that's like acid ideas, acid thoughts, acid feelings. And your lung meridian has to do with grief and sorrow. And we all know that our immune system is very much influenced by grief and sorrow. So there is a known link from conventional medicine with our immune system, and in fact that's the same sort of idea as what the acupuncture and Chinese medicine say. And so long as you have this stress, this meridian is activated. And you have this balance. At night, we recuperate, we recover, and during the day, we spend our energies. And when this shift in status is not continuously taking place, but you're always under this stress, energy gets depleted. And the system is getting into trouble. Now, the meridian system is so informative that it tells you the immediate reaction of someone to his emotions and to his thoughts. And with the software, we can discern chronic things from temporary things. So that's where the system helps. So that's a little bit theory. Voila. Wrong button. But the meridian network shows the kinds of emotions or traumata that have not been processed. And it tells also if it is a projection towards the future, or whether it has to do with your job and your practical life, or it has to do with your family relation or things from the past. This is such a graph. And these are 3 consecutive measurements. And you can see here, these are from measurement to measurement. It's a little chaotic. That's information. And then you can, for example, see here, these are 2 meridians, the left one and the right one of the gallbladder, and the left one of the liver and the right one of the liver. They have a pattern that's the same from measurement to measurement. Now, in our training, we give a little information how to interpret this. But that's not so important for the psychological part. That's more important if you deal with chronic diseases and prevention. In fact, when you want to deal with the emotional things, it's easier. Not too long ago, in South Korea, they were able to make pictures of the meridian. And the meridian is, in fact, in its finest form, it forms a network around our organs. And they are very small ducts that go through our capillary system. And there are 2 substances with which you can color them and make them visible. And that's not so amazing. It's only 5 years ago that it was found a new system, not really, but that the lymphatic system extends until underneath the skin, just by new ways of coloring your cells. And in the same time, they found that you can make visuals of the meridians. So these small blue lines, this is a network around the heart, and it picks up the information of what the heart is experiencing, and the biochemistry, and the power of the heart, and the stress of the heart. And so every organ and every system is connected to this meridian network. Here's another picture. You see these small blue lines. These are ducts in the capillary system. You see here the blood running through the blood vessel. And they also found that these ducts, they transmit light. In effect, they transmit photons. And photons are the particles and the waves of electromagnetism and light. So they are the information system. We measure the information and put them in graphs. And they are the distribution system of our signals that we place on specific acupuncture points during the treatment. This is a picture normal. If you want to know much about acupuncture, you need to know these points. There are 486 acupuncture points that good acupuncture points or acupuncturists know by heart, but our software just shows them where to keep the device depending on the problem of your patient. You don't need to know very much. In fact, I'm not very knowledgeable, although I've been working for 15 years. I can concentrate on my patients and use my laptop with my right hand and see what I do. And then I can talk with him, relate with my patient, make him feel safe, etc. And they never have the feeling they are hooked up to a computer that's taking over. Never. So we had this relation, measurement, regulative system, and specific meridians that are off. Imagine it's the large intestine meridian that's off. In psychological terms, voila, that has to do with this kind of emotions, the fear to achieve and the fear not to commit, the fear to lose, the impossibility to let go. Our large intestine is often called our emotional brain and our emotional memory. So much that we don't process is just being stuck in our large intestine, hence constipation. So if someone often has constipation, there is an emotional issue that's not being processed. Dogmatism is one of them. Perfectionism, rigidity, being on the defense, and stubbornness. Those are issues that are linked to a not functioning, not regulating large intestine. Just an example. And the meridian network, these meridians, they show it all. We don't need to guess. We don't need to listen too much, but we can go right to the issue. For example, if I have a measurement like this, it shows that on the average, through all my measurements, it's the triple heater meridian that's off the most, and also on my last measurement, the third, and the third measurement is always the most telling about emotions. And it says, in this case, it's just an example, the triple heater of this patient at the left-hand side is weak. So it's the left-hand side, and I just told you, and I hope you remember, the left-hand side has to do with relations, with the past, family life, those three. And the triple heater has to do with feeling of being isolated, lack of social warmth, lack of being valued. So this patient has an issue in the past, and he feels lonely. Now that was a big surprise, because this was a fugitive from Iraq. And I heard about his illness and his situation, and I thought, poor guy, let him come. So I measured him. He's 25 years of age, and all these horrible stories about father being murdered, uncle being murdered, fled as a boy from 12 years old, and now in the Netherlands, cold country, competitive country, not feeling very welcome, etc. So I thought, it is war issues. And then I measured him, and I thought, okay, this is a triple heater meridian from the past. And what came out of it is that he was grieving from and feeling guilty that he hadn't treated his last girlfriend 3 years ago, they broke up, in the best way possible. And he felt very lonely and guilty. This loneliness is a triple heater issue. So overboard went my theories about his war history as being a fugitive, and I had to concentrate on his love life with a Dutch girl that he was missing very much already 3 years long, and mulling over with his thoughts, what could I have done better if I had a chance, etc. And in effect, he was strongly thinking that this took away all his energy, and he couldn't work, he became ill, etc. So, but I began with his emotional life. And the funny thing is, after a week, he had been out of work for a year. After a week, he began training and was on his job again. And he is on the best way of being helped. So the software makes life really easy. How does such a measurement go? We measure at the hands. You can't see it, but I have, with a little ballpoint, I have marked the points. Also, you see, maybe, I hope you see, I can see them from here, these small points where you measure. This is just for demonstration, because usually I don't do it that way. We do it much quicker. And you press the probe, just slightly, and during that procedure, in a split second, it does thousands of measurements, collects them, see if they're almost all the same, averages them, and sends them to the computer. So, the internet connection is a little slow, so I'll move on. In routine, you see it now, it's much quicker. The sound is off. And you collect thousands of data, and they're put in one graph. These graphs are shown in graphs. They give insight in the type of emotional stress like fear, sorrow, rebellion, lack of joy, dislike of intimacy, traumatization from sexual abuse, fear of rejection, the emotion of not being loved, etc. Now, here is this example of this triple heater again. And I explained it. And according to Chinese medicine, the triple heater is the most, has to do with issues like fear for social isolation. And it works on the neurotransmitter household of the body. So it's a complex story after that. But when your neurotransmitter household is being influenced, it may work on your hormonal issues, or it may work on your digestive system, like, how's this? The schildklier, what's that in English?
Osteoarthritis.
Yes, that one. Okay. After the measurement, it's a 3-step procedure. And the first one is one of exploration or discovery. And that's easy to learn, and it's based on these measurements. And the measurements show the most prevalent emotional issue, and then you look for the zone. In fact, the software is showing it, And there you place this little blue device that I showed you. So when someone has a triple heater issue, for example, you place it on his forehead. When they have a heart issue, you place it near the heart. When they have a fear issue, you place it on the bladder. And their pulsating electromagnetic fields give that system that's depleted of energy, it gives energy, it stimulates. So it gives warmth, it gives relaxation. And during the transmission of these energies, you, together with your patient, you begin to explore the feelings, the ideas, the things that come up. And you concentrate, because many people are so brainy, they begin with a lot of excuses and a lot of ideas and what they think that's wrong with them. So that's only of the mind. So we stay away from the mind and we go to, what do you feel? What do you notice? What do you smell? What are the sounds that are coming up? Well, I see brown. Okay. What was the last time you saw this particular color? Well, this morning. And before that? Yesterday. And before that? Also a month ago. So you make a little time travel, and then they concentrate on that, they let these feelings come, and then they become aware that the first time they saw this brown was the skirt of the school teacher that whacked them in the corner. Just an example. It is a little time travel. And with a soldier that just came back from Iraq, it's a shorter one. With an older person that had been abused, when someone is 60 and he has been abused when he was 8, it takes a little longer. But they really get there, and it becomes so alive that they are there. So that's the discovery. And then you ask them, it's not a lot of discussion, then you ask them, what does this happening, this occurrence, what does this mean? What does this make out of you? So that's very profound. Then comes the elimination. So you wash this all out using the meridian system as transportation system. And then comes the integration. So they formulate their new status. Like, I don't fear, no one can abuse me, I enjoy life. And you imprint that with the use also of light therapy in their body. So 3 steps: discovery, elimination, integration. I think I cannot get compensation for all the time we lost in the beginning. But this is what I want to see or show. Remedies energize the depleted meridians and open up the feelings. This is just a picture of these pulsating magnetic waves. I mean, they're measurable, they're real, they're really helpful. They will help at the physical side as well. But I'm just going a little quicker to a movie that I want to show you. Not so much theory, but it's about results. What happens? Can you hear this?
And did her therapy session back probably 3 months ago, maybe November. Don't know the exact time, but since then it's been great. Because as a recap, I had issues with smoking and depression, and
Μπορείτε να το ακούσετε αυτό.
I was a little weirded out at first, the techniques that she used, but I'm really glad I took a chance. It was my wife that told me to go ahead and take a chance, and because we tried, other things. I saw a regular therapist a year, 2 years ago, and it never really did any good. But so I took a chance. My wife said take a chance, and I did. And we did 2 sessions. 2, right? 2 sessions, and so far it's been great. It's been like night and day. So if anybody's out there listening, I'd say take a chance. I mean,
yeah,
can't hurt.
Okay, so one of the things that we got on video before was this desire to be in an impending situation with
life and death situation, right?
And how's that feeling now? That part of it?
Not so much so. I think there's still always going to be a part of me that wishes for those kind of intense situations, but it's not as dominating as it was before. I mean, before it was like every day I was, you know, imagining life and death situations, and now it's not nearly as big of an issue. But I think it will be part of me for the rest of my life, but not anymore.
Cool. And then your smoking hasn't reoccurred?
No, I've had maybe a couple small temptations, I guess. But I don't think temptation's are ever going to go away. So outside of that, I think that's still a success.
And what about your ability to have like a heart connection and some compassion?
I feel better there because, you know, I was wanting to get compassion back. And as I watch the news nowadays and I see families that have had tragedy and issue, you know, heartache, and I feel for them. And before I didn't. It was always just, you know, that's life, you know.
Yeah.
But now I feel, and I told my wife that the other, you know, not too long ago. It's like, I feel bad for them. And that's not something I could say a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Or a couple of months ago.
Yeah. So some big changes, really.
Yeah.
Transformational process.
Okay, I'll stop there. The next video would be from a German professor in psychiatry, and he has a practice in Shanghai as well, and he has written many books, and he is supporting and using this system. But about this patient, we have had more soldiers and also police officers. This soldier, what he named life and death situations were imaginations where he was killing people. I mean, that's what was behind it. He was continuously looking for the excitement of these situations and wanting to pull the trigger. Now you can imagine that somewhere in time this is bound to happen, very probably. And he got rid of that urge. He likes tension still, but he doesn't have these fantasies. He's not a danger anymore for his environment. And he can relate to people, and he sleeps well, and we have more examples like that. So the iHealth system is being used in more than 1,000 practices all over the world. That was what I just skipped through. And this is an example of a measurement after such a session. And you see that these blue spikes or pointed downwards, they are depleted energies. And most of them are not that extreme anymore, and the whole system has more energy. And it's beautiful to do this procedure, and a lot of fun. So that was my presentation about the iHealth system, and I hope that there is opportunity to answer questions.
Θέλει κανείς να κάνει κάποια ερώτηση, μήπως, τον κύριο Mauk de Boer? I don't think so.
It's amazing that I've been that clear. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Mauk.
Σας ευχαριστούμε πολύ για τη συμμετοχή σας στην παρουσίαση αυτού του συστήματος υγείας iHealth. Θα ήθελα επίσης να σας ενημερώσω ότι θα ακολουθήσει στις 2 Ιουνίου η μερίδα στην οποία μπορεί κανείς να παρακολουθήσει με λεπτομέρειες τις δυνατότητες αυτού του προγράμματος, στη διάγνωση, τη συνεδρία θεραπείας, τις θεραπευτικές εφαρμογές και τις προοπτικές θεραπείας, καθώς επίσης και τα αποτελέσματα που μπορεί να έχει. Επίσης, προκειμένου κανείς να αντιληφθεί καλύτερα το ενδιαφέρον του για το συγκεκριμένο σύστημα υγείας iHealth, γίνεται αυτό. Θα θέλαμε επίσης να πούμε ότι η Geo Health θα δώσει την ευκαιρία σε ψυχιάτρους και ψυχολόγους να φέρουν μάλλον την 1η Ιουνίου έναν ασθενή τους στην Geo Health που θα έρθει ο κύριος Mauk, Boer, να κάνει ο ίδιος την θεραπευτική συνεδρία, με αποτέλεσμα να έχει ο ψυχίατρος ή ο ψυχολόγος την ευκαιρία να παρακολουθήσει από κοντά πώς γίνεται η όλη θεραπευτική πορεία και το πρόγραμμα αυτό. Να βιώσει δηλαδή ο ίδιος πάνω στον ασθενή του τη θεραπευτική εξέλιξη. Επειδή βέβαια, όπως καταλαβαίνετε, ο αριθμός των ασθενών θα είναι περιορισμένος, θα πρέπει, αν θέλετε, όποιος ενδιαφέρεται βασικά, να επικοινωνήσει στα τηλέφωνο της Geo Health, που είναι 210 86 13 136, με την κυρία Καρά. Αυτό από Δευτέρα, 10 π.μ. έως 5 το απόγευμα μετά μεσημβρίας. Και για περισσότερες βέβαια πληροφορίες σχετικά με την ημερίδα αυτή, μπορείτε να επισκεφτείτε το site μας που είναι www.geohealth.gr. Σας ευχαριστούμε πολύ εκ μέρους της Geo Health και του κυρίου Mauk, Boer για την παρακολούθησή σας και για τη συμμετοχή σας. Σας ευχόμαστε καλή συνέχεια.